Most people misunderstand the Sherman. They think it won because it was mediocre. Thin armor, weak gun, tall silhouette, the tank that burned, the Allied compromise. That story feels satisfying. It is also incomplete. The Sherman did not win despite being average. It won because it was designed for a type of war that Germany did not understand. Let's be honest, the Sherman was not intimidating. In a one-on-one duel, it often lost. German crews knew this. Allied crews knew this. That was never the point. The Sherman was not built to dominate the battlefield. It was built to dominate the calendar. The Sherman was an industrial object first, a weapon second. Everything about it points to that. Standardized parts, simple manufacturing, multiple factories, multiple variants, interchangeable components. The Sherman was not a tank, it was a production program. American industry did not ask, how do we build the best tank? It asked, how do we build a tank that thousands of factories can make, millions of workers can support, and tens of thousands of crews can learn quickly? The answer was the Sherman. The Sherman accepted trade-offs deliberately. Thin armor, weak gun, tall silhouette, nothing exceptional, nothing fragile. This offended German doctrine. Germany believed superiority should be concentrated. Few tanks, high quality, elite crews. America believed superiority should be distributed. Many tanks, good enough, replaceable crews and machines. These two philosophies collided. German tanks fought battles, Shermans fought schedules. A destroyed Sherman was not a failure, it was expected consumption. This is the hardest idea to accept. The Sherman was designed knowing it would be lost, and that losing it would not slow the war machine. Factories replaced it, ships delivered it, depots repaired it, training bases fed new crews into it. The system absorbed loss without flinching. German losses accumulated. American losses were amortized. This is why the Sherman feels everywhere in photographs and footage, because it was. North Africa, Italy, France, Germany, the Pacific. Different engines, different guns, same chassis, same logic. The Sherman adapted without stopping production. Flamethrowers, dozer blades, longer guns, different suspensions. Germany redesigned tanks. America iterated inventory. That difference is lethal. The Sherman did not fear attrition. It was built around it. By 1944, German crews were exhausted. Fuel was scarce. Training was rushed. Repairs were delayed. The Sherman arrived with fresh crews, full tanks, and spare parts. The Sherman did not need to win every fight. It needed to win the war of time. And it did. This is why the Sherman frustrates enthusiasts. It refuses to be dramatic. No mythic duels, no technological shock, just pressure. Pressure applied everywhere, all the time, without pause. The Sherman represents a fully industrialized form of warfare, where machines are tools, not symbols, where loss is accounted for, where replacement is guaranteed. The Sherman was not elegant, it was inevitable. That is why it worked. The tiger inspired fear, the panther inspired respect, the Sherman inspired exhaustion, because every time one burned, another arrived, and another, and another. The Sherman did not break the enemy's armor, it broke their ability to keep fighting tomorrow. That is the real story of the Sherman. Not heroism, not sacrifice, but a system so large that individual brilliance no longer mattered. In industrial war, this is the final truth. The side that can lose and continue advancing wins. The Sherman understood that, and that understanding, more than any gun or armor plate, is why it ended the war.